You're watching The Breakdown with the fight analyst, Garrett Kerman.
And welcome back to another episode of The Breakdown. I am the fight analyst, Garrett Kerman, and with us, our co-host, Mr. Colin Crandall. What's up, man? How's it going?
Oh, hanging in there, Garrett. Hanging in there, man. Excited to be here. I just like to say we all have choices on a Thursday. There's a lot of other stuff I could have been doing, but I have to say when it comes to betting advice and MMA analysis, we all want to hear it in plain English, right? In reality, almost everyone else is like they're literally fucking speaking German, which is why you have to trust the man himself, Garrett fucking Kerman.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that little introduction. But they're not just here to see me. They love your advice as well. You know, we got a good thing going here. We're both very smart, especially in this fight game. We know our stuff, and it really shows, especially last weekend at UFC 266, where we absolutely smashed across the damn board. Wow. So
Yes.
Before I get into my bets, how did your bets go?
Very well, very well. I had a good amount of wins, as we both did. Obviously, I didn't bet all of them. Bet a couple of parlays. I ended up, doing pretty well. Wanted about a 78% clip of the bets I made, even though my overall picks were higher. But I made a few bets on a couple that lost, so didn't get rich, but we definitely won nearly 80% of the bets that I made.
Nice. We did well on our side as well. I believe we went 7-3 on the night with a profit of about 7.5 units because we just smashed pretty much every straight we had there. We hit the parlay. The only little blip is, I took Omar Morales. Unfortunately, that was my lone, big blip there. And, we even talked about it. We talked about his cardio and him cutting down to 145, and it really showed that he should not be fighting at 145.
Yeah, it looked like a hard cut. I was on Morales as well, as you know, even though I knew it was a tough fight. But, yeah, it looked like he was in a hard spot there. Like, that wasn't the Omar Morales we're used to seeing in that fight, and I think he may have to reconsider that drop.
Right, especially at his age, his ceiling isn't that high. 38 years old, and you're still fairly new to MMA for the most part, and your ceiling's not going to be that high, especially at one of the smaller weight classes, 145, 155 pounds. Those guys is just fish, Shark Tank over there. And I can't see him really going too far in the UFC. Unfortunately, I think it's a great fighter. I think he's very entertaining, but fortunately, his skills are not up to par with some of the top guys. Even Jonathan Pierce is calling out guys that are ranked right now. Do you believe he deserves somebody ranked after just beating Omar Morales and who he beat before that? I don't think so.
No, definitely not. He someone's I don't know. He is being very optimistic, and I think that he should hope that nobody high-ranked accepts his call-out. I don't think he'll be faring that well.
Our man Michael Cook is in the building.
There he is.
Colin, Tim, Kennedy, Crandall.
I love it. Always appreciate that comparison. Michael Cook, I will take it. I will take it all day.
Oh man, that's good. That's good. Unfortunately, I have to own up to my losses. I had a really bad loss on the Contender Series. Unfortunately, 3-2 thus far on events in the Contender Series. I thought Aaron Jeffrey had what it was in him to finally get over the hump, finally get into the UFC. He's beaten high level competition on the regional scene, and he just was flat. Didn't throw combinations or anything. What'd you say?
That's still not bad though. 3-2. I avoid the Contender Series. It's so hard to pick. I give you a lot of credit. I think you're one of the few analysts that actually will consistently do your homework and jump on that. It's so tough though, because you don't know how these guys are going to do with the pressure of getting a contract.
That's what makes it so much fun. You have to do the research. You have to know what these guys are about. You have to You have to look at their backgrounds. You have to really dig deep, and it's hard to find some of the information on these fighters is really hard to find. Some of the tape on these fighters is really hard to find, but that's what makes it fun because you're doing the research. And then when it actually pans out after doing all the research, the grinding, trying to find stuff page after page after page, of information and videos that you have to go through. It's really rewarding in the end. And these fights that they put on are just outrageous because they're just going balls to the wall trying to get it finished. So I think that makes it even better. And I wish they had 2 seasons of this a year. Come on, give us 20 weeks out of the year. Just that's all we need.
I think that'd be fair. That's a good request.
Yeah, I love the Ultimate Fighter, but I mean, I'd rather have a Contender Series.
Yeah, well, maybe Dana's watching it. He might indeed be. And Dana, if you're watching, 20 is all the Fight Analyst asked for. That's all.
Just 20 weeks. That's all I'm asking. But we got a great fight card on tap this weekend. UFC Vegas 38, headlined by Thiago Santos and Johnny Walker at 205 pounds light heavyweight. That's going to be a great fight. We got Kevin Holland coming back in the co-main event against Kyle Dawkins. Nico Price on the card. Misha Shirkunov making his debut in middleweight division. This is a really, really good fight card. Like top to bottom, this is some exciting fights in the small cage as well. I'm really liking it. So let's start off on the preliminary card. Our first fight is at bantamweight between Alejandro Perez and Johnny Eduardo. Right now, Perez is a minus 255 favorite. And to come back on Johnny Eduardo is a plus 210 underdog. Who do you got in this one?
Gotcha. So Alejandro Perez out of AKA, or at least at some point, as we know, using SureDog for a reference site usually makes you wrong at least half the time. But
you need to get on Tapology, man.
I hear you. Well, let me see. You're right. I always, for some reason, the Tapology always seemed to come up scrambled on my computer, no matter what computer I had. But let's just double check there and see what they have on Tapology here. And there is Tapology, okay? And they have him out of Entrum Gym.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
That no, wait, is that the right Alejandro?
Yeah,
right.
That is.
Okay, well, that's a big difference because if he was at AKA, then that would be a lot better than Entrum Gym. Anyway, nevertheless, Alejandro Perez, the man they call Turbo, is 21-8. He's 32 years old, which is a little bit old for the bantamweight division, just kind of finishing his prime, but not far out of it at 32. Coming off of, he had a great record before his last 2 fights. He was 21-6, I guess, a good record. And now he's lost 2 in a row. He had actually compiled a really good UFC record. The man's been in the UFC since 2014. And his UFC record, it looks like, is 7-3-1 draw. But he is coming off 2 losses in a row. Very, very tough guys, though. Cody Stamen, my Michigan boy, did beat him. And then Song Yadong Song did catch him 2 years ago, coming off a 2-year layoff. And is 32 years old. I'm going to assume he is with AKA, and that gives him a hell of a boost. Johnny Eduardo is 41 years old. Wow.
Yeah.
41 years old with 40 fights, 28-12. He's
trying to be the next Nick Diaz.
There we go. Right. He's coming off 2 losses as well. And he also has been in the UFC. He's been in the UFC since 2011, but he only has 6 or 7 fights since 2011. 7 fights since 2011. He's 3-4 in the UFC. That is just weird. So it looks like, he hasn't fought in 3 years. So this is a guy who hasn't fought in 2 years against the guy who hasn't fought in 3 years. I just wouldn't lay money on this fight, except I'm leaning toward Alejandro Perez. Johnny Eduardo coming back at 41, but I like the older guys. I like the older guys being that I'm one of them, except not a fighter, but an older guy. So I think Eduardo Pretinho, which in English or in Portuguese means the pretender. No, that wouldn't be good, but it means something else. But he might be the pretender. Pretinho, pretend. Anyway, I don't know. I'm off. I wouldn't go close to this fight. I think probably Perez wins this fight. I've got a little bit of confidence, but I wouldn't play it. If you insist you have to play every fight, which I never recommend, then I would say Perez, but I'd be very, very careful. Too much of an X factor, in my opinion.
Yeah. Obviously, Perez I believe should have an easy win here. I mean, Johnny Eduardo is, like you said, 41 years old, coming off a 3-year layoff, hasn't won a fight since 2016. So it's 5 years since he, tasted victory. He's 1-3 in his last 4. He gets finished like it's no tomorrow. He's been finishing each of his last 3 losses, dating back to 2015. He got choked out twice, and he got knocked out by Matthew Lopez, who's not in the UFC anymore. This is a chance for Perez to actually get a finish here. He throws decent, volume. He's throwing probably around 9 to 10 strikes a minute, which is pretty good. I know he's only landing 35% at 3.52. Not the greatest, but he's still outstriking his opponents for the most part by almost 1-to-1 ratio. But he's looking really good. His good defense, 64%. John Eduardo, man, that dude is old. He's ancient. He's frail at this point in his career. I don't know why he's fighting. It's not like he's gonna have a resurgence at 41 years old. I don't think he was even at the top of his game when he was in his prime. So I think Perez does have an easy win here. I don't like the line at -250. Maybe if there's somehow, some way we get him closer to -220, -225, all the way down to -200, I think Perez is playable.
Yeah, I mean, this probably is a setup for Perez to get back on track, more than likely. So I would lean toward Perez. I don't like to take a risk with this time off and like that. But yeah, Eduardo, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, either Eduardo gets smashed quickly and easily, or he makes it a tough fight and still loses. But nevertheless, in an homage to the old ABC Wide World of Sports, the thrill of victory will probably belong and be claimed by Alejandro Perez, and the agony of defeat will be embraced as a gift to Johnny Eduardo.
All right, moving on. We have a fight in the women's bantamweight division between Shayna Young and Stephanie Egger. Right now, Egger's a -120 favorite, and the comeback on Shayna Young, it's +102 underdog. Who do you got?
The Shanna Young, I think is who I'm going to go for. She is 7-3. She had her UFC debut last year, where she was thrown to the wolves on probably short notice, because in early last year. Actually, you know what? That was right before the pandemic started, February 15th. So maybe, I don't know. It has to be, because it doesn't make sense. They would have given a UFC debuter to a top 10 girl or top 15 as Macy Chasson. But I think that that she showed some grit in not being stopped. She has more experience, 10 fights as opposed to 7. 30 years old. Stephanie Egger is 33 years old and lost her first fight to Tracy Cortez a little bit later last year. Wow, this is a tough fight. But I have to go for the American Shanna Young. Stephanie Egger from Switzerland, I just think is tough, but is not going to be able to beat the woman they call a Shanna Young. I would bet maybe half a unit on this. I just wouldn't, I wouldn't take a big risk here, because it's so hard to know these girls with this little experience at the UFC level. But if forced, I would say Shanna Young.
I'm actually gonna take Stephanie Egger here. I think I think this is a good matchup for her. She is going to be I think the stronger of the two. She's going to be the better grappler. I think her background is judoka. So she has, the hips to make the throws, and she's strong in the clinch. And she's also a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt as well. If I'm not mistaken, I think she won a title or a medal at one of the ADCCs as well. So she's very well versed in her grappling department. If you look at Shayna Young, she got absolutely mauled in both of her losses. On the Contender Series, she got mauled by Sarah Alper. We saw how bad Sarah Alper really is, okay? And then she got mauled by Macy Chiasson. Chesson, sorry. Chesson.
Yeah.
Okay. But I don't see her having success in keeping this fight on the feet against somebody bigger and stronger like Stephanie Egger. If someone like Sarah Alper can just muscle you down to the mat and beat you down that bad, I think Egger could do the same thing. I mean, because she's that higher level in grappling than Alper. And Alper is just tough. She's gritty, and she's someone that can just get in and just muscle you down. I think Egger could do the same. I think she can get the sub. If the sub prop is juicy enough, why the hell not take it? Let's see. Egger by sub plus 500, plus 600. You absolutely bet that. Like, you 100% bet that. She is a jiu-jitsu black belt. She's won. She's won. How many? She's got like two submissions, two knockouts, one decision. So at least a third of her fights, her wins, are by submission, and she's gonna want to take it to the mat. I feel like she's gonna want to take it to the mat, and or you could just take her straight up at minus 120. I kind of like that too.
Not bad.
I'm leaning a play here on Egger. I think this is the right type of matchup for her to get her first win in the UFC. Someone who doesn't grapple very well,
Yeah, it could very well be. Although at 33, I'm just not sure how much of a prospect UFC feels they have with Stephanie Egger. You know what I mean?
That you're right. I do agree there. I don't think she is this top prospect, but Shayna Young. Yeah, Shayna Young at 30 years old doesn't look like a prospect either, especially when when she loses badly. Like her last three losses are by getting taken down and beaten. Miranda Maverick choked her out in 2 minutes and 35 seconds. Sarah Alper took her down, choked her out in 7 minutes and 55 seconds.
That's it.
And then Macy took her down 3 times and just controlled her for like 12 minutes of the fight.
Absolutely. Very, very true.
So I'm taking a shot on Egger here. I think we're getting a good line, minus 120. I'm not saying to go, bet a whole ton of money on Egger, but I think she's a good play at almost even money.
I think she very well could be. Man, they say you don't want to bring a knife to a gunfight, and that might be what Shanna is doing there, but at least you could have a knife in both hands and try to do something. I don't know. What they say also is that if you're counted on to show up with the jiu-jitsu or judo hips, don't show up with great childbearing hips instead. Point made. So,
all right.
Continue on.
I like it. I don't know where we're going, but I like it. Moving on.
Thank you.
All right. Next up, we have a fight in the bantamweight division between Douglas Andrade and Gaetano Pereira.
Perillo or something, yeah.
Yeah, Perillo. We'll go with Perillo. Okay, we'll go with Perillo. It's easier to say.
All right.
Andrade is a minus 225 favorite, and the comeback on Perillo is a plus 188 underdog. Who do you got?
Absolutely. Douglas Silva de Andrade all the way, the man they call De Silva. 36 years old, so yes, he's old for a featherweight, past his prime, but is a pretty solid fighter. Tough guy, always very, very fit and strong. 5'6", 145, a little bit short for the weight class, kind of like our champion, Alex Volkanovski. He came back after a 2-year layoff and still did pretty well against a pretty talented Lerone Murphy. He did get stopped by Peter Yan 3 years ago. He did beat Marlon Vera. He lost to Rob Font, and then he lost to an AKA prospect, Zubaira Tukakov. He's only lost to absolute killers. He is getting a little old, which makes me a little nervous, but to put him, a man who has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 UFC fights, who's been in the promotion for 7 years, against a guy who's had 1 UFC fight, I think it's going to be Silva de Andrade all the way. Perello did get stopped by Ricky Simone. No shame in that, but other than that, he's unproven. So unproven except for getting smashed in his 1 UFC fight. He's going to be fighting hard. El Tigre from Belgium, but they actually have him listed as a bantamweight. Can you see if is this a bantamweight or a featherweight fight?
No, this is a bantamweight fight. Yeah.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Okay, so Silva de Andrade. Okay, so yeah. For some reason, Sherdog once again has him listed as featherweight, but he has been fighting at bantamweight. And let me check that Lerone Murphy. Except, you know what? Lerone Murphy is a featherweight, so I believe Silva de Andrade's last fight was probably a short notice fight.
Yeah.
At featherweight, so
right.
No wonder, and he still hung in there with Lerone Murphy.
Yeah.
So, yeah, all over Douglas De Silva, de Andrade. I'd probably go more than my normal 1 unit, maybe 2 units, and even possibly, since he's, giving away a little chalk, minus 225 to minus 250, I'd probably make him a solid parlay piece. A little bit of an X factor here with Perello, so it could be a scary fight, but I think Douglas De Silva de Andrade needs this fight more, and is the veteran, and is going to I would think be somewhat dominating in his victory here.
Yeah, this is a tough one. I definitely would never in a million years bet on De Silva at minus 225. I just can't fathom doing it. He's just one of those guys that he wins, and I just don't feel like he's good. Like I watch him, it's like, you don't do anything great. But then again, he's going against a guy that really hasn't shown anything yet. We don't even know if he's good. He went against Ricky Simone, got absolutely mauled in 2 rounds, and we really don't know how good he truly is, where his ceiling is, and where his floor is. So that's where you have all these unknowns. We know that Perello's gotten better since his last fight because he wasn't getting ready for a fight. I mean, he just took it on short notice in Abu Dhabi because they just threw it at him in a week's notice. Now he's got time to get ready for a fight. Now we're going to see full camp Perello, and he's a massive underdog going against a guy who's pretty old. He's getting up there in age. He's way out of his prime. He's 36, right? He's 36 years old. So against a guy that's 28, 29 years old. I mean, you get there. That age is gonna hit at some point. I know he hung in there, in his last fight against Murphy, but it's not like he was close to winning that fight. He was losing like point blank. Everybody knew he lost that fight. So yes, he's tough and he can hang in there. He can take a punch, but I mean, and now he's going back down to 135. So that's another thing. Maybe he was better at 145 because he was healthier. He didn't need to cut so much. That's another factor you have to think about. And you're laying the chalk at minus 225 on these unknowns. You don't know what you're getting for Perello. You know that you're getting Andrade, who's older, who's cutting back down to 135. We don't know how he's going to do there. So all these X factors, and I really don't want to put my money on either one of these two. But if I had to take a bet, I'd probably take the dog money on Perillo. I think it's a dog or pass type of situation, especially at that price. And why not take a shot on a dog that's close to 2-1 odds, and you're just kind of gambling, and hopefully he gotten better than where he was last time, because Ricky Simone is levels above Andrade in every category. So now he's taking on a guy that's older and he's on his way out. He's just coming off a loss, and Pearl is just looking. He's hungry. I don't think Andrade is hungry for anything anymore. He's just trying to keep his job. So, and while Pereira is trying to move forward, get another fight, while Andrade, he's been around for a minute. He's got his fights in, and I think that's, I think he's gonna, set off into the sunset after taking an L here.
You could be right. I would get you one thing. That he's probably still hungry for Brazilian barbecue. Most of my Brazilian friends definitely are always hungry for Brazilian barbecue. He's hungry for something, right? Something he's hungry for, but it may not be fighting and getting wins in the UFC. I see your point. Gotcha. All right. Speaking of which, I'm hungry for Brazilian barbecue.
Yeah, I'm about to say that sounds delicious right about now.
Yeah, make that happen one day.
All right. Next up, we have a fight at 155 pounds between Jamie Mullarkey and Devontae Smith. Right now, Smith is a -154 favorite, and the comeback on Mullarkey is a +130 underdog. Who do you got?
So this fight begs the answer to the question, does the underdog feeling like he can win constitute him being full of malarkey? And
I was waiting for you to bring his name into something.
That was an old saying, being full of malarkey when you're full of shit,
Yeah.
So all respect to Jamie Mullarkey. I really like him, and I think it's an Irish name,
yes.
Which does prove a friend of mine's fact that there's a lot of Irish in Australia, and I love both peoples, Australians and Irish, from the Central Coast, and he is 27 years old, great age, just about to start his prime, or maybe even a year away from his prime. Looked very good catching Kama Worthy. He had lost prior to that. In fact, his back was against the wall. I mean, look at that. Who has the misfortune of being matched up in their pro debut against Brad Riddell? I mean, how crappy is that?
And the way he hung in there.
Yeah, he did. And then Farah Siam, his second fight. I mean, like it's almost like they were setting this guy.
Yeah, but he should have won that fight though.
Yeah, he should have, but I guess the closest only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades.
Right. But I don't think it was. The thing is, I don't think it was close. I think it was. It was a bad decision.
Oh, you mean he did win? Okay, you felt he did win. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually thought he won. He should have won the fight. He had a lot of top control. His grappling was really good in that fight.
Yeah. And then Kama was on a win streak when they gave him Kama. So it's literally almost like Sean Shelby or McMahon were like, I got to get rid of this kid from the minute they saw him in the UFC. We'll put him against Brad Riddell. We'll put him against Farah Siam. And then to make it a 3 in a row, we'll put him against Kama Worthy and kick him out. And it didn't happen. I think he's a tough guy. Devontae Smith is also a very tough guy. Young guy, 28 years old, just starting his prime. Out of Factory X, they both have a common opponent in Kama Worthy. And Kama caught Devontae, whereas Mullarkey beat Kama. You can't really use MMA math like that, though, because 1 and 1 never ends up to be 2. This is going to be a banger of a fight. The odds are right on this, and that it's really close. Either guy could win this fight. Devontae Smith is a slight favorite. I'm going to go for Mr. Jamie Mullarkey in this fight. I just have a feeling that he's going to grit it out, and he's got a little bit more experience, 17 fights to 13 for Devontae Smith. I think it's going to be a really close fight. I would only put maybe a half a unit on it, but it's going to be an action fight. I think someone is probably going to sleep in this fight. These guys are both finishers. Wow. Are they both finishers? I'm looking at Devontae's record. Out of 11 wins, he's got 11 stoppages. And then, and then his losses were both by getting stopped. Every fight Devontae is a stoppage, and except for one submission, mostly knockouts. And then on the flip side of it, Jamie Malarkey has 13 wins, and out of his 13 wins, there are 12 stoppages. Holy crap. And then out of his four losses.
This could be a great fight, bro.
Yeah. Out of his 4 losses, and he fought Volkanovski way back in the day in Australia.
Yeah, this man fought like killers. Like, this man did not come up, and coming through the UFC fighting, nobodies.
This guy has fought way tougher guys than Devontae. He really has. I even like, well, first of all, here's what I would say. Malarkey by knockout or the fight not going the distance. Give me some odds on those props.
Okay. Fight doesn't go distance. Not great. It's -210 because they're expecting a finish on this.
Not to, with these guys, Okay.
I do like the under 2.5 rounds. Only 2 books have it right now, which is like 5 dimes in Betway. And that's really lined pretty well at -150 and -137. Those are pretty good props under 2.5. But majority of them have it over under 1.5 rounds, which is that's a little hard.
That's tough. How about Malarkey by KO or TKO or whatever?
Malarkey by KO is +380.
Wow. I would jump on that a little bit. I think I might put half a unit on that and 1 unit on straight bet Malarkey. And hopefully he won't make me look full of Malarkey by shitting the bed this fight. I don't think he will. I like him, Malarkey.
Yeah, it's a tough. This is a really good fight. It's, like I said, it's action packed. It's going to be, who's tougher. I do think Malarkey is one tough dude. He can take a punch. He showed he could grapple. He shows he can. He's got some knockout power, and he's looking like he's coming into his prime. He's looking in the best shape of his life. You look at Smith. He came off of a 2-year layoff after getting his first knockout loss in the UFC. He took that time off to get better. He came back even stronger and won that fight. He absolutely dismantled his opponent there. I believe he was against Justin James. That's right. He dismantled Justin James in inside 2 rounds. Very impressive. Showed really good takedown defense. I believe his takedown defense is about 100% right now, if I'm not mistaken. He's yet to be taken down. But this man, majority of his wins are coming early. Yeah. You're talking all round 1 stoppages except for 1 4th-round knockout against Nick Gertz back in 2017. So this man has not seen a 3rd round since 2017. Crazy. That means if it hits round 3, who has the gas tank to go round 3 in a slugfest? I'm gonna go on Malarkey. And I think we are at a good spot here, +130. And I'm gonna bet him. I mean, Malarkey still has that 3-inch height advantage. I know he gives up 2 inches of reach, but being that height, he's still able, to use his length as well and keep out of the heavy hands of Smith. So I don't know. I think I'm gonna go Malarkey as well. See if he can be the tougher man. Get in there and slug it out with Devontae Smith. Make that man hurt.
That's it. Maybe he'll be inspired by his countryman Alexander Volkanovski in winning. Speaking of which, did you watch the live reaction of Israel Adesanya to
no. Where is it? Where can I watch it?
I think it's on YouTube. I'm pretty sure, or either that or Instagram or Facebook. Just Google live reaction because it shows him watching the TV, and I think they start filming right when Ortega has the guillotine choke from the top, and Izzy is going, "Drop, come on, Volko, drop, come on, don't give up, Volko." And he starts yelling and screaming. He jumps in the air. It's great. It's like, obviously they're friends, and I think they trained together at City Kickboxing for a while. And I guess Volkanovski maybe goes back and forth to places. But yeah, he went berserk. It was awesome to see. He was so happy for Volkanovski is amazing. Those of you who haven't seen it,
Bro, that fight was phenomenal.
it was one of the best title fights in years, and I think we knew it was going to be. We knew that was going to be but man, the chin on Ortega is amazing. I know half the people are celebrating his chin, half the people are saying he got hit 500 times, and that's not a good habit to be in, right? So, but I think you can be on both sides. You don't really want to see a guy get Justin Gaethje like Tony Ferguson did on that day a few years back, and now we see it somewhat happen again. But he took it, and I just hope, maybe he doesn't take that much punishment, in another fight. But man, what a chin and what a will! I mean, even in a defeat, what do you call him? As a stud. I mean, the message that Ortega sent to all other featherweights is, don't ever think you're going to stop me with punches, no matter who you are, and that sends a pretty strong message, I think, to the rest of the division.
Absolutely. Ortega is still one of the best featherweights out there, even with the loss there. I mean, his only two losses are Volkanovski and Max Holloway. There's no fault there.
Yeah, he's a stud for sure.
All right, moving on. We have a fight in the women's bantamweight division between Carol Hossa and Beth Correia, whatever you want to say. Correia. I'm terrible with these names. Right now, Hossa is a -490 favorite, and the comeback on Beth is a +380 underdog. We get one more fight to fade the Beth Correia. Are you with me?
I'm with you. These are two nice Brazilian girls, and they are dieting right now. If you mention so much as Brazilian barbecue to them, you will get ready to have your teeth knocked out, because they would much rather be eating that than protein drinks and broccoli, which is what they're eating pretty much. But I will say this: Carol Hossa she is something. They have talked about her for years. And finally, she got into the UFC 2 years ago, beating Lara Procopio, beating Vanessa Melo. And Vanessa Melo actually did get that win over Sarah Morris. And then Jocelyn Edwards, who's a tough girl. So Carol Hossa, 3-0 in the UFC, going up against a girl who has lost 3 out of her last 4. Really makes you wonder what the deal is with the matchmaking. But obviously, the A side is Carol Hossa. They want to purge themselves of the Brazilian booty girl, Beth Correia, and they don't want to see that dancing anymore, obviously. And but yeah, Correia a lot more experienced on the high level that is the UFC. They actually have the exact same amount of fights, 17, but Correia has been in the UFC for 8 years, and has got like 10 or 12 fights, but she's lost most of them. Penny, right? Yeah, Penny Kianzad's tough. She lost to her July of last year. Before that, she did beat Sijara Eubanks, which was a surprise. But that kind of forced Sijara to come back down to 125, which is a better weight class for her. She got subbed by Arina Aldana, who's a striker. She got knocked out by Holly Holm. I don't know. I mean, if Beth Correia wins here, that still might not even. I don't know. Can someone get cut from a win? I don't think they can. But if they could, I could see it. If Beth edges this one out, I could see her getting cut. I don't think it's going to happen, though. We got -500 for Carol Hossa, and I think this is Carol Hossa all day. But, Beth may have her moments. She's a strong girl at 38 years old. I didn't realize that she was that old. Yeah.
Carol Hossa's going to have a clinic.
Yeah, I think so. 3 inches taller, 12 years.
She's going to batter her face in.
Yes. As Conor McGregor used to say, right? She will batter her. I will bat. Except it will be a woman battering her. Don't think I'm saying.
You also had to look at. Check this out. Carol Hossa is throwing about 15 to 16 strikes a minute. And she's landing 52% of that.
Wow. She's a good finisher too. She's got 6 finishes out of her 14. Somewhat of a decent finisher.
Okay, there's no way we can have any value on this fight, right?
No,
especially at minus 490. Even the decision at minus 165, I'm not buying it. I'm not
because
gonna
she'll stop
pay.
her.
Exactly. Yeah. So you take a look at that KO line. What does it say? Plus 500. Bingo.
That's why you're Garrett KO Kerman.
Why? Why not? Okay. Let's look at Betch. How many times she got knocked out? She's got knocked out in 2 of her 5 losses. Yeah. And 2 of her last 3, I believe, were knockouts. No. She was subbed and knocked out in her last 3. Okay, but she got knocked out by Ronda Rousey. We know how bad of a striker she is.
That's bad. Yeah, I remember that too.
And it was in 34 seconds, might add.
Yeah, she kind of hit her with the old wet noodle, and Betch went down like a ton of bricks. Yeah, that was bad. No, I really think Carol Hossa should put Betch out of her misery here. But to lay that sort of chalk, no way, because you never know.
I'm definitely going to play that KO line if it's plus 5, plus 400. Very, very small, $10-$20. Why the hell not? It's worth the try. Especially where she's going to land. She's going to land a lot. Yeah. We're talking about, Betch gets hit 4.56 times a minute. Okay?
Crazy.
A minute.
Yeah.
So that means that Carol Hossa is going to be landing like 10 strikes a minute probably.
Yeah. I get a feeling she'll be bobbleheading Betch, don't you?
Oh, yeah. I do feel like she's going to get, I envision her, coming forward with a barrage of strikes, and eventually Correa is just up against the cage, and she just keeps hitting her, and eventually, the ref comes in and stops it. That's what I'm seeing.
Yeah. I see it looks like Carol is out of Piranha, Vale Tudo, and this is going to be like a fish tank when Carol is the Piranha, and Betch is going to be someone sticking their hand in there, not knowing that piranhas will bite a chunk out of your hand. So I think this is the situation. Carol, good to her training school's name, will be the Piranha in this fight, and Betch will be the unsuspecting hand put into that tank with the Piranha sitting in it.
All right. Next up, we have a fight in the women's flyweight division between Antonina Shevchenko and Casey O'Neill. Right now, O'Neill's a minus 200 favorite in the comeback on Shevchenko is a plus 168 underdog. Who you got?
This is a weird fight, man. I just hesitate about this fight because first of all, I love the nickname on Casey O'Neill, the first female fighter calling herself the King.
I know, that's awesome.
Yep, and she is a Brazilian. No, she isn't. She's Australian.
No,
Australian.
No, she's not. No,
she's not. Where's she from?
She is from Australia.
Yeah, Australia. That's the second thing I said. Yeah, she's Australian from Queensland. Yeah. So the King, Casey O'Neill, is tough. I think she's done some training over at Syndicate or Extreme Couture or both. She's spending some time in Vegas, right? Having originally been Tiger Muay Thai product. 23 years old. She's a baby. She's a kid. 7 fights.
She's a really good prospect. She really is.
She actually was. She's 7-0 as a pro and 5-2 as an amateur. And all of her amateur fights ended in stoppage. And as a pro, she's had a few decisions in there, but she's still a good finisher. She came into the UFC and stopped Shanna Dobson earlier this year, and Shanna had looked really good after beating, I think it was Julia Avila or something like that. And then she did beat Lara Procopio, having lost in the earlier part of the fight and Procopio ran out of gas and then made a post that she had female issues and was compromised in that fight. Who knows if that's true or if it's not.
I think it was because, like, in between rounds, you saw that she was dead pale. I'm like, oh man, this is terrible. It's not good. 'Cause I had Laura in that fight, and I thought she was gonna. I thought she was gonna do better, and then I saw in between rounds, like, oh, she looks like she's dying. Oh, okay,
yeah,
it's not good.
Something went wrong there, and she, so because of that, we just don't know how the hell good the King is here, King Casey. And at 23 years old, she's a baby. I mean, and she's already fought twice this year. So, I mean, in a way, though, at her age, that's fine because recovery is good. And she put Procopio to sleep. Antonina Shevchenko it's just weird, man. How would you feel if you were a pro athlete and your brother was this GOAT?
God. Right? God.
You're right. And you kind of were God and you kind of sucked. I mean, wouldn't that be kind of a weird feeling? I mean, I'd be like saying to my brother, can't you do something for me? Like, tell me something so I'm going to start winning. Like, freaking pull the kink out of my shoulder or something, right? I mean, you'd be like, come on, how can I suck and my brother be this good? Right. What the hell? I think part of the problem is that the older sister, Shevchenko, didn't want to jump into MMA until after the younger sister, Valentina, was already in it. That was a mistake. Right. Yeah. That was a mistake. And I think that what she did when she saw Valentina doing well and making better money than Muay Thai, because Muay Thai is a great sport and they are severely underpaid. You guys think MMA fighters are underpaid? Muay Thai fighters, it's just freaking wrong. But there's not enough money. There's no pay-per-views. There's no anyway. Bottom line is Shevchenko jumps in. Antonina, her first fight was her first pro MMA. You know what? It looks like she jumped in. Scratch what I'm saying. She jumped in MMA probably over again Kyrgyzstan and Russia. Many, many years ago. She won 3 fights in a row between 2002 and 2005, and then took 12 years off. So in reality, I think she probably won those fights just as being a better striker, and then she didn't decide to go back and focus on it again until 2017. And I remember because she was actively fighting Muay Thai during some of those years. Anyway, it was too late. By the time 2017 rolled around, she was already 32 years old. And it just seems like she couldn't get the grappling. She couldn't get it. She's tall and lanky. Her body doesn't want to do it. And Valentina can't will her to do it. Although Valentina loves her and would love to see her do it, she can't do it. But this is the big test. This is going to be honestly like if a pro UFC fighter had to fight you or me to see if they're going to win. You do better as a younger guy, but we both have some chops, but we can't beat UFC fighters, admitted, right? But if they lost to us, then they're really done. Then they can really call it a career. So I think that if Shevchenko loses to a girl who is 7-0 and who is fighting in her third UFC fight, who only joined the UFC this year, it's just a really bad look, in all honesty. So Antonina is going to be trying really hard, and I don't think it's going to be enough, but I really don't want to have anything to do with this fight. I'm leaning the younger girl, but in reality, as I've told you before, I don't really like picking people that are like under 26 years old. I really don't. I just think too much shit happens in their head. They can't have that much experience. And some, maybe on occasion, some of them do. But 7 fights is not a lot of experience. So she's a 23-year-old kid. She's up there against a girl who...
Well, she also had 6 amateur fights.
She did. Yeah, that's true. She did have 6 amateur fights, but still...
No, actually, she had 7 amateur fights.
Yeah. It's still not enough. She's still not super experienced. I lean toward O'Neal, the king, but I am betting $0 on this fight. Anything could happen. I'm not going to put it in a parlay piece. I'm not going to find a prop. Zero. I recommend. I don't know. You can probably maybe find something here, Garrett, but I don't like this fight. I'm staying far away from this as far as betting, and I'm going to have my normal water and cold gruel dinner and enjoy it.
Yeah, so
Normally.
definitely not betting O'Neal minus 200. That's just, we'll get that out there because I just think that line is a bit too wide.
Yeah.
And I think my best bet to go with this fight is to live bet it. Sit back and wait to see what happens because, okay, so say O'Neal gets the takedown and she wins. It is what it is, right? But eventually that line is going to start to fluctuate if she doesn't get it so fast. If they're still, on the feet, kind of striking a bit, the money will come down. But I want my thing is I want to see how that takedown does against a larger Shevchenko, against somebody who has been in there against better grapplers, than O'Neal. If she does well and the line is still decent, I'll jump in and play a little bit of her line. But if Shevchenko is able to defend the takedowns, you bet your ass I'm taking Shevchenko if that line didn't get juiced up already.
Love it.
If you
Love
see that she's able to defend the takedowns, you take Shevchenko all day because she is a much better striker.
I like that.
She's also bigger. I think she's a decently sized bigger as far as strength goes. I think she's also a lot stronger in the clinch. So I think a lot of the knees are what's gonna hurt O'Neal, and I feel like it's gonna eventually tire her out the later the fight goes if she doesn't implement her grappling early and often. So I'm sitting back and I'm waiting to see what happens. If O'Neal goes and gets a takedown easy, gets a sub, and I missed out. I didn't really miss out on minus 200. I'm okay with living another day and missing out on a minus 200. But, if we go in there, if we live bet it and O'Neal's not looking as hot, going for the takedowns, and she's staying too much on the feet, I'm live betting Shevchenko before it, gets out of control.
I love that. And you know what? I don't usually talk too much about live betting, but I'm starting to get my feet wet in it a little bit more. I do like it because once in a while you can get some really good odds on an even fight just because it started to go one direction. And so you can sometimes like another thought, if a takedown lands, but if she gets a takedown, but then Antonina is controlling her, not taking any damage, and all of a sudden you see plus 600 for Shevchenko, maybe take it and count on the fact that it's coming near the end of the round and they're going to start on their feet next round. So I like it. And something like this, only live betting is the only thing I can see.
Yeah, definitely. Especially how the line is, too much on one side and you are not extremely sold on the underdog to just take a shot at them.
Yep.
All right. Next up, we have a fight at 155 pounds between Joe Selecki and Jared Gordon. Right now, Selecki's a minus 136 favorite and come back on Gordon's a plus 116 underdog. Who do you got?
This is a really good one, man. I tell you, sometimes I look at Selecki, so talented. I have to say that you're the Joe Selecki of MMA analysts. Because you were originally from Jersey, I think, like him, right?
Yes, I'm from Jersey.
So he's a Jersey guy. You're within a couple years of the same age. You both have dark hair. There we go. So anyway, Joe Selecki, in all honesty, he is very, very impressive, man. Fighting out of Winona, New Jersey. I've never even heard of that. Have you?
Winona, I think that's more northern, closer to Pennsylvania. I think northwest, if I'm not mistaken.
Could be, wouldn't be surprised. 11-2. He's 28 years old, just entering his prime, and he's got 13 fights already, which is great. That's a good amount. Not too many on the more experienced side, but that's really good. He was 3-0 as an amateur, all by submission. And then he started out, he won his first 3 fights by submission. He did have a loss in there by decision, a couple more wins, sub and TKO. He did get stopped by Nicholas Mota. Funny enough, wasn't Mota fighting just the other week? No.
No, he was going to, but COVID scratched that fight.
That's right. That was it. It wasn't too much Mota that he was smoking. It was the COVID that knocked the Mota out. Anyway, and then after that, he's been on a killing streak, 6 wins in a row, including a technical submission choking James Wallace unconscious on the Contender Series, beating Matt Wyman, and Matt was 400 years old, unfortunately, beating Austin Hubbard, who's a tough guy, but proving to not be as versatile as it looked at one point, and then beating an old Jim Miller, but a talented Jim Miller nevertheless. Still, Joe Selecki is a very, very tough guy, and is in the top 15 now, I believe, if not top 10, top 15. 155, Jared Gordon, the Flash, they call Jared Flash Gordon, 17-4, a little bit older, 5 years older, 33 years old, out of Henzo Gracie and Rufus Sport, according to Sherdog, both great schools.
He's out of Sanford, MMA.
Is he? Okay, I had a feeling. So there we go. We were on the right coast there, and he's a New Yorker, so we got New York against New Jersey, usually a good rivalry, right? And Jared Gordon is 17-4, so more experience, not quite double fight, no, but 8 more fights. Coming off of 2 good wins. Actually, his last loss, he lost to Charles Oliveira 2 years
short notice.
On a short notice. That's a good call. That was no shame in that. Then he beat Chris Fishgold, the solid fighter from England, and then Danny Chavez. Let me refresh my memory here about Danny Chavez, the Colombian warrior. He had that draw with Kai Kamaka where I feel Kamaka definitely beat him, and then Kamaka loses his contract, which was definitely wrong.
Well, he didn't lose his contract. His contract was up, and they didn't
renew it. Yeah, I hear you. That's I was going to say you could look at that as if a fact that your girlfriend didn't break up with you, but she just started going out with all the other guys at your jiu-jitsu gym, right? But she didn't break up with you technically, but it's all over there. I guess what I'm saying is if it's over, it was over, and they should have renewed Kai Kamaka's contract. He's a talented guy, and I hope.
Well, I'm hoping he goes back to the drawing board, and I hope he drops back down to 135, where I think he'd be an absolute fucking savage. He used to fight at 135. Don't know why he went to 145. Yep. And I think he would be phenomenal at 135. I mean, he's got the build for it. He's got the wrestling. He's got the power. I think his power would knock people out 135. But
yeah, absolutely. Well, he's got that Hawaiian power there. I love the Hawaiians' fighting spirit. They're amazing and great warriors. Anyway, this is a tough fight. I think Jared Gordon has a chance here. At 33 years old and having a record in the UFC of 5-3, even though he's on a 2-fight win streak, he doesn't have a lot of time to goof around. He really can't afford a loss here at fighting at lightweight. 33 is getting a little bit old, so he needs this win more than Joe Selecki, and I think he gets it. I'm going Jared Gordon here for the upset, but I literally would put half a unit probably. It's a scary fight. Joe Selecki's a beast, and if I were to hedge, it would be Selecki by sub, but Jared Gordon, I don't think really gets subbed much at all, does he? Let me take a look here. No, Jared Gordon actually has never.
No, he's a really good grappler. He's not going to get subbed.
Yeah. So I think that being the case, Flash Gordon may take this, although the 5-year age disadvantage could be a bit of a problem, and Selecki's very confident. But yeah, this may be the first stumbling block in Selecki's UFC career here. I'm going to go Gordon, and not a tremendous amount of confidence, but I think he can do it. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't I don't like Jared Gordon at 155, obviously, because he went 3-3 and he was 2-0 at 145. But missing weight again at 145 made him have to go back up to 155. He's pretty much an in-betweener. Like, he's a little too small for 155, but he's too big for 145. But I don't think he's too small here because he's pretty much the same size as Joe Selecki. And, I feel like Gordon definitely has the advantage on the feet. He throws more combinations. He's more fluid. He's one to come forward. He's not the one that's always on the back foot when it comes to the striking. And obviously, we know what you're going to get from Joe Selecki. He's going to come in there trying to grapple you, trying to take it to the mat, get submission, or just keep you on the mat. Didn't do very well against the aging, Jim Miller. He only went 1 for 4 on takedowns in that fight.
Yep.
Not very impressive, especially for a guy in Jim Miller who defends only 44% of his takedowns.
Yeah.
I know Jared Gordon does get taken down, but he's only lost 1 fight in the UFC where he's gotten taken down. Each of the times the fights where he's gotten taken down, he's won those fights. Even in the fight that he lost, which is against Joaquin Silva, he was winning that fight handily for all 3 rounds until he got knocked out in the last round. And I believe he tore something midway through the 2nd round of that fight, which deterred his entire game plan and pretty much everything, threw it out the door, and he got finished in that 3rd round. But he was winning handily up until that knockout. And I was very pissed because I had Gordon in that fight. And I remember vividly, he was dominating that fight. And, he would have won that fight if he didn't get knocked out. So that means every single fight that he's been taken down at least once, he's won all those fights because he has been the better grappler in those contests. And I believe the more of the same will be here in this fight. I think he'll be the better grappler. He trains with really good grapplers and wrestlers at, Sanford MMA. It's actually one of their big things there. They got, extremely high-level grapplers and wrestlers there. Like multiple D1, collegiate wrestlers, high level. So, and he trains with Gilbert Burns and the Burns brothers and jiu-jitsu with all these major, black belts and, whatnot, but which is why he's never been submitted ever in his entire life. So, but yeah, I think Gordon he's in a good spot here. I think this might be a letdown win, a letdown spot for Joe Selecki. I feel like he'll get some takedowns, but as the fight goes on, I feel like he's going to get tired. And we've seen Gordon. He's got good cardio. He's always had good cardio. He drowned Danny Chavez. He drowned Chris Fishgold for 15 minutes. He drowned them both, with his pace, with his cardio, with his grappling. And I feel Gordon will do the same here. And I feel like we're getting a good plus money play on Gordon at plus 116. Not bad.
Yeah, absolutely. The only thing that would cause me to change my mind is if Selecki brings in Bruce Springsteen playing live for his walk-in music.
Well, yeah, then maybe you're just like, fuck it. Might as well pick him now.
Exactly, right?
All right. Next up, we have a fight at the lightweight division between Alexander Hernandez and Mike Breeden. Right now, Hernandez is a minus 550 favorite in the comeback on Breeden. It's a plus 410 underdog. What do you got?
Man, interesting fight. Alexander Hernandez is such an anomaly. He's an enigma. He's a mystery. He's 28 years old. He's got 16 fights. His first fight was 7 years ago in the UFC? No, it wasn't. It was 3 years ago? What the hell? I could have sworn the dude's, okay, so in 3 years, though, he's had 7 fights. And it almost seems like a story of, 2 different Alexander Hernandezes. He comes in having, a record of, 10-1. And he beats my boy Beneil Dariush. I think that was right before Beneil went on his killer winning streak. And so there he looked really good. He caught Beneil. I think no one knew what he had. He was a strong, tough, athletic guy. And he caught Beneil and now would not stand a chance against Beneil Dariush, in my opinion. Anyway, he beat Olivier Aubin-Mercier, who's no longer with the UFC. He got owned by Cowboy Cerrone after talking a ton of trash and just being way too immature. And Cerrone 2 years ago still had a little bit left, but that little bit was enough to really completely own Hernandez. Hernandez comes back and beats an aging Francisco Trinaldo. Still a solid win. Comes back after that, gets caught by Drew Dober. No shame in that. Drew was killing it for a little while there. He then comes back and beats Chris Gritzmacher before Chris Gritzmacher had his upset win against whoever that was.
Rafa Garcia.
You're right. And then he looks like complete garbage and shit the bed against Thiago Moises. And Moises is a tough guy. It's just I don't know, something about the way he looked against Moises. And Moises is a tough guy, and he did try to hang in there against Islam Makhachev, although it didn't last for that long. But I don't know, man. Something's just weird about Alex Hernandez at 28. He seems like an old 28. Seems like he's got a shit ton of injuries. He's out of Factory X, I guess. Well, they'll probably not. Sure Dog is Factory X. What do you think?
No, it's Factory X.
Okay. I just don't know, man. In all honesty, I'm not feeling the kid anymore. And I just think he's not what we thought he was, or he's not what he once was. Mike Breeden, the man they call Money, coming out of Glory MMA and Fitness, James Krause and all the great guys there, Zach Cummings, ton of amazing people. Garcia, what's his name? Julian? No, not Julian. Anyway, I forget, but they've got some really good fighters over there at Glory MMA. So Mike Breeden is getting his UFC debut here. It's probably somewhat short notice. 32 years old, not a great age to be getting your debut as a lightweight. They're probably bringing him in to lose here, but I'm going to go again. I'm going on the dogs here. I think he pulls this. I think he pulls the upset. But again, not even considering betting more than a half a unit. Wouldn't put him in any parlays. I don't like this fight overall because of the X factor. I wouldn't bet much. I might even go a quarter unit. I think Mike Breeden is live for the underdog. I don't like Alex Hernandez. And I don't like giving all those odds on someone that I don't like. Minus 550, just for shits and giggles. Would I say confidently Breeden's got this? No, I think he has a chance though, and I would sprinkle a small amount on it because I don't like Alexander Hernandez.
I like that last part because I don't like Alexander Hernandez. Well, obviously. Not betting on Alexander Hernandez. I don't know how he's going to win this fight. Could he get a knockout? Sure. Could he just have an underwhelming decision win? Probably. I think he wins. Not going to bet it. Breeden, I know he's tough. We saw him hang in there against Anthony Romero in the Contender Series. The man could barely walk with the cow kicks that he was taking in that fight. And but he's not winning this fight. He's not winning this fight against Alex Hernandez. It's a really tough fight for him on day's notice. It's not happening. But like I said, I am not going to bet on Alexander Hernandez. I'm minus 550. He shit the bed against Thiago Moises, and I want nothing to do with that man anymore.
Yep.
If you screw me over once, shame on me. Screw me over twice.
Well, it's actually the reverse. It's actually the reverse. Screw me over once. Shame on.
No. Shame on me once for betting on me.
Right.
Shame on me double if I bet you out twice. You screwed me over once. Why did I bet you again?
I agree. No Anthony Hernandez. No.
No. Hernandez, not betting it. I do think he has a skill though. Taking the fun away from it. I think he has a skill. He just needs to put it together. I mean, we've seen it in the Chris Gritzmacher fight. He's got the skills. We've seen it in the Francisco Trinaldo fight. Kind of. It was, that was a very iffy fight. And we've seen it in the Benir Dariush fight. We've really seen it there. He's got potential. He needs to just hone in on it. He had some good spots in the Moises fight, but he just wasn't all there.
No.
But we'll see it here. I feel like he'll have a good performance, but like I said, minus 550. No, thank you.
No.
All right, next up, we have a fight in the women's bantamweight division between Aspen Ladd and Macy. You say it?
Chasson. Yep.
All right.
So
Aspen Ladd, minus 240. The comeback on Chasson, plus 198. You got.
gotcha. So this is a good fight of top 10 contenders. I don't know their exact rankings, but Aspen should be like 3 and Macy should be like 9 or 8 or something like that. Both young, Aspen even younger at 26. Macy, I think, is 29. 30. Macy's 30. 8 fights for the 30-year-old is not a lot. 10 fights for the 26-year-old is pretty solid. In the UFC, Aspen, the 26-year-old, has been in the UFC for 3 years since she was 23. She's 5-1 with the one loss, and this is her one loss in her career as a pro, because as an amateur she was 4-1 and only lost to Felicia Spencer, which I probably was at featherweight. As Felicia, I don't think ever fought at bantamweight. So anyway, her one loss to Felicia Spencer in decision as an amateur against 4 wins is a very good look. Her one loss, wait a second, I'm looking at Macy Chasson here. Sorry. Going back to Aspen Ladd. Aspen Ladd, wow, even a more storied amateur career. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8-1 with her one loss against Cynthia Calvillo. In 2014, Calvillo was a killer. And then as a pro, 9-1, and her one loss I know very well is where she got caught against Germaine de Randamie. I don't know how to explain that fight, except it was 16 seconds in. Germaine de Randamie had like a 4-inch, 5-inch height advantage and like an 8-inch reach advantage. And as soon as she saw young Aspen out there, she just came in there, bam, 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 and the fight was over. And I don't know. I don't know whether I think maybe the Ladd camp felt that de Randamie wouldn't want to get so close so quickly, with Aspen being the better wrestler and the shorter, thicker girl, better grappler. Maybe that was it. Maybe they just figured that de Randamie was going to try to be a little cautious in the beginning. Either way, she got caught, but it was 16 seconds.
She wasn't out, though, either.
Right. She wasn't even out. No, she was just stumbling around, and they said that's it. So in all honesty, it happened. I can't say it didn't happen, but if you take that out of the equation, because it wasn't like she got owned, it wasn't like there was any examples except for her getting caught by a world-class striker and like 10-time Muay Thai champion. Other than that, she's perfect. People criticize her for being a little thick and a little short for the weight class. I had a great interview with her. Only took 3 years to arrange it, and finally had an interview with her earlier this year. And she's great. I really like Aspen Ladd. She just can't make flyweight. Everyone said that. She was very good-natured about it, but she just said she will be completely dead. Either she won't make the weight or she'll make it and absolutely have nothing left. Her body's not going to do it. She's just not going to make 25. So she's focused. This is her weight class. She's short. She's not a body girl with six-pack of abs. She's probably going in there lighter than most of the girls she faces, because I don't think she cuts much, but she does say she cuts some. She's talented, though. Strong, young, good grappler. She's giving away probably 5 inches in height here. There's a lot of disparity in what they list as Macy Chasson's height, 5'9", 5'10", 5'11", back and forth. I have a feeling maybe she's a solid 5'10". So she's going to be 4 inches taller. Macy Chasson is a good grappler, has got some striking. She's cautious. She's got a pretty good fight IQ. The concern is the Lena Landsberg fight was not a good look. She was in Denmark, which is close enough to Sweden to be somewhat of a hometown fight for Lena. And I believe Macy was on the show shortly before that fight and had never had an international fight like that before. I don't know if that threw her off or whatever, but she lost to a 37-year-old Lena Landsberg. I don't think Aspen loses to Lena Landsberg 0 times out of 10. Does Lena Landsberg beat Aspen Ladd? So I think Aspen wins this fight. I have no idea how it's going to look. It's a weird fight, but I think the odds are correct. And yeah, I feel pretty comfortable Aspen Ladd on this fight.
Yeah, I don't. I like Macy. She's huge for the division. She's 5'11", 72-inch reach. She has 6-inch reach advantage, 5 inches of height as well. Throws some good volume. Lands 4.16 per minute. Really, really good there. Lands almost 50% of her strikes, but she's just not overly efficient with her strikes. She's not a striker by trade. She's more of a grappler.
Yeah.
And she doesn't know how to use her height and her reach all that well. She uses her jab a little bit, but it's not a stiffing jab. It's not like Jermaine Duranamine where she puts some power into that jab. She's got a power jab. Macy just uses her kicks, uses her jabs just to keep at range and try to land that 1-2. But she doesn't got a ton of power. She's got some power. Don't get me wrong. She can knock somebody out. She can knock somebody down. I just don't see it happening to Aspen Ladd. I feel like Aspen Ladd is going to be the one, being the aggressor, coming forward, throwing some punches to land inside the clinch, get some against the cage, take her down, rinse and repeat. She can do that for 15 minutes. And that's how I see her, winning this fight. I don't like the minus 215, 220 price tag on Aspen Ladd. So I'm kind of, forced to just not bet this fight because, Aspen Ladd can win by decision. She can win by submission. She can win by ground and pound, TKO. So I don't have a read on how the fight's going to win, how she could win. But I'm not going to bet it on minus, 225. I just don't like that price, on a women's bantamweight fight, unless it's, someone I'm overly confident in, like Amanda Nunes, somebody like that. But no, I'm not betting this fight, but I do have Aspen Ladd, getting another win under her belt.
What's the KO TKO prop for Aspen Ladd?
Aspen Ladd KO plus 320.
I like that. I'd sprinkle a little bit on that too. If you look at it, Aspen stopped everyone she's fought as a pro except for Sijara Eubanks, who's got a chin of iron.
Yeah, she does. Truly does. All right, next up, we have a fight at 185 pounds between Misha Serkinov and Krzysztof Jotko. Right now, Serkinov is a plus 126 underdog, and the comeback on Jotko is a minus 154 favorite. What do you got?
Euro in the house, man. You got any euros on you? Give these guys a bonus if they try harder to win. Man, oh man, what do we have here? Misha Serkinov coming out of Latvia, and he is going up against Krzysztof Jotko coming out of Poland. Very, very
by way of American Top Team.
That's right, ATT baby for Jotko, and Serkinov is over at Extreme Couture. So Serkinov's 34 years old, and light heavyweight, that's not that old. It's young. It's not young. But the heavier you go, the longer shelf life you have, the more guys you see in their mid-late 30s, even 40s. So Serkinov is not necessarily done at 34 years old. Best years maybe behind him, possibly, but he doesn't have to be done at all. And 6'3", 205, good-sized guy, strongly built guy, definitely cuts some weight to make it. Krzysztof Jotko, 6'1", and they list him at 85. Was he fighting at 85? He was.
Wait, yeah. You didn't know. This is at 185 pounds.
This is at 85. So Misha Serkinov.
This is his first fight at 185 pounds.
There we go. Boy, oh boy. Wow. Damn.
Yeah, he's gonna. He talks about it. He was talking about how he's like, for once in my career, I want to be the bigger guy in there.
Yes.
He's like,
yes.
I want the advantage. He's like, I couldn't make 185 this whole time. I don't cut a lot of weight. He's like, I want to be the guy with the height advantage, with the reach advantage. I want to be the bigger guy. I've been fighting these guys that are huge, and now it's my time to fight and have the advantage in the fight.
I never noticed guys. Yeah, I never noticed guys being that much huger than him. I believe he said it, but. And then at 34 years old, your body is getting heavier, not lighter, naturally.
He said he walks around at 210 pounds. So that means he's
well,
barely cutting weight to make 205.
that's true. Well, we'll see, because I will tell you this. I just wish he wasn't 34. If he was 30 or 29.
Yeah, but Jocko is around the same age.
32, 2 years younger. Okay, so let's look at recency here. The whole time, well, you know what? In the 6 years in the UFC, his first 4 fights, he looked like killers. He stopped Daniel Jolly, whoever that is. He stopped Alex Nicholson, who's no longer in the promotion. I'm pretty sure he stopped an extremely young Yuan Kutalaba by submission. He submitted Nikita Krylov. And then he went and jumped into some trouble. Volkan Oezdemir caught him in 2017. Oezdemir was killing it. Glover Teixeira is a beast. He caught him. He came back and beat Patrick Cummins, who's no longer in the promotion. He lost to Johnny Walker with that flying knee, essentially getting caught 38 seconds in. A big win by Peruvian Necktie. Got
hurt in that fight, though.
Yeah, over Jimmy Crute. Yeah, Crute is a beast. He was. I think I remember he was touching him. And then he got stopped by Ryan Spann.
After knocking Spann down first.
Right, yeah. You know what,
you got to think of it this way. Does Jocko have the power that Ryan Spann, Jimmy Crute, Johnny Walker, Glover Teixeira, Volkan Oezdemir have?
Right, he definitely doesn't. And not only that, Ryan Spann looked kind of like garbage. Not Ryan Spann. Jocko looked kind of like garbage against Sean Strickland. Although
horrible.
Yeah, he did. But Sean Strickland is that good. Sean Strickland is a beast. Damn. This is just a weird fight. What do the odds makers feel? They've got to have Serkinov. No, they don't. Jocko's favorite.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, at this line, you're giving me Serkinov at plus money. I'm betting it.
Yeah.
You know,
me too. Maybe one unit.
If he loses, so be it. But you're getting a good dog price on a guy that's bigger, stronger, fought the better competition, in my opinion. Fought the much bigger, much more powerful guys as well.
I agree.
The guys he lost to, Ryan Spann is 6'5" with an 80-inch reach. Yes. Johnny Walker, 6'4" for like an 81-inch reach.
And guys like Glover Teixeira, who's just an animal.
He's fighting for the belt right now.
Yeah. I agree. I think this could be one of the best plays. In fact, I may, make my way to the window with more than just one unit. Now that we're talking about it, it really does seem like there's a good chance that Serkinov can win this. Possibly
the old worries are, 25, he's 34. Could he gas out? Yes. Those are worries. But I'm getting a dog money. I'm okay to make a bet worrying about cardio at plus money.
Yeah.
Don't making a bet worrying about cardio at minus the money.
Right.
I've done that too many times.
Yeah.
And it sucks.
Yeah, I agree.
Cardio.
I agree. Yeah, I think Serkinov's live. It's going to be interesting to see, but if he wins easily, then welcome to the middleweight division, because he's going to be scaring some people.
Oh, absolutely. Dude, he's 6'3". He's one of the biggest middleweights on the roster right now.
And he'll be like one of the muscular, tallest and biggest.
It's so smart that I love the way he talked about it. He's like, I want to be the bigger guy now. He's like, these guys are freaking huge. Like you said, Johnny Walker and Ryan Spann were 2 of his last 3 fights.
Yeah.
He's like,
I think Glover cuts like pounds to get in there. Yeah, without a doubt. I agree.
He's only cutting 10 pounds to make 205. He's like, I might as well get a clean, eat better.
Yeah.
Get around a little bit of a better walking weight, and then make the easy weight cut.
Yeah, or it sounds like what you said. He was cutting 5 pounds to make it to light heavyweight. So crazy. Yeah, without a doubt, Serkinov. Definitely think. Good chance he wins here. Well, I'd be shocked if he doesn't. Not that much, but I think he should, and I think it's a good value. There's value for sure in Serkinov.
Right. All right. Next up, we have a great fight at 170 pounds between Nico Price and Alex Oliveira. Right now, Nico Price is a minus 170 favorite, and the comeback on Oliveira is plus 138 underdog. Who do you got?
Got you. I love my boy Alex Oliveira. He is he's the kind of guy that lives and breathes fighting. He doesn't care if he never gets to eat any Brazilian barbecue. This is guy. It's all fighting. It's all war for him. He loves it. At 33 years old, at a welterweight, he's leaving his prime. And to show that he, who has a brown belt, I think, in jiu-jitsu, or even black, got subbed in both of his last 2 fights against Shavkat Rakhmonov and Randy Brown. Not good looks.
No, he's looked really bad in his last 2 fights.
Yeah, he has. And yeah, I just think that he's got 32 fights. He's got a lot of mileage, a lot of miles on him. And he's a tough.
That dude's only 33. I thought he was like 38.
He looks like 38. He does. Yeah. On the other hand, 32-year-old, much more youthful looking guy in Nico, the hybrid Price. I love this dude. He's one of my favorite fighters.
Yeah. I've met him. Went to his seminar. Didn't talk to him for a while. Like a year later, still remembers me. I'm like, how do you remember me? I remember you because you're Nico Price, but how do you remember me?
Yeah, I saw that picture with the 2 of you. That's awesome, man. So he's in Florida, Cape Coral, Florida, man. Do you live near there? You don't have to say the exact city, obviously.
No. I live south from there. I saw him at Titan FC like last year.
Nice, but definitely a Florida boy. I love Nico Price. I don't know if UFC matchmakers hate him or love him, and the reason why I say it is because they're always throwing him up against killers. But are they doing that because they know he can win? Right. At his best, he can beat them. Or do they really feel like something's weird about this guy? I don't like him. Let's see if we can get him.
Nah, I think he just puts on a great show, no matter who he fights.
They just never give him a soft spot, though. You know what I mean? They never give him a soft landing against anybody, except for now.
Right.
I think after fighting, I mean, look at this craziness. The man's been in the UFC for 5 years. He's got like 12 fights. He's gone up against Alex Morono, Alan Jouban.
He fought Vicente Luque twice.
Twice, yes. Abdul Razak Al Hassan, Michelle Pereira, Jeff Neal, Tim Means, James Vick, Randy Brown. I mean, everyone there is to fight, and he comes out smiling. In all honesty, he has not had a win since 2019. We're only in 2021 now.
Well, technically, he should have beaten Cerrone.
Yeah, the Cowboy should have been a win, but it was overturned. Nevertheless,
it wasn't. It was a no contest because of an eye poke.
Okay, but yeah. But then, but then it does say overturned by NSAC on Sherdog.
Oh, that's right, because he got it was a majority draw, and then it went to a no contest because of weed.
Right, which is ridiculous, Anyway, Nico's been talking positively as always. He's also talking about really kind of having reinvented himself to an extent here. I know he kind of said that before the Pereira fight, but he was in that fight. I was live and in attendance for that fight on July 10th, and it was a great fight. Pereira, such a talented guy. He was just this much ahead of Nico Price in these exchanges, but this is the fight. This is where I drop the hammer here on Nico Price. I'm talking probably 3 or 4 units on Nico Price. The odds are way lower than they should be. I think he should be minus 260, minus 300. Instead, he's anywhere from minus 165 to minus 175. All over Nico Price. Best bet of the night. No way Nico Price loses this fight, in my opinion. Not only that, but I think I would go also sprinkle some on Nico Price by knockout as well. What are the odds on that? Like plus 300?
No, it's not going to be anything like that. Nico by knockout would be plus 150.
Is that it? Okay.
Yeah.
So I think I would go like 3 units on Nico Price straight bet and like a unit on Nico Price by knockout.
Yeah. I'm definitely all over Nico here. We're getting a great line, minus 170, minus 165, minus 160. Great line. Unfortunately, missed the boat early in the week where it was like minus 124, which is fucking outrageous.
Yeah.
That was my fault. I was worrying about Contender Series. I was just, looking at that. But I'm I'm all over Nico Price here. I mean, he's the more youthful guy. I feel like he's the one that could take more damage. He had a really good fight against Michel Pereira. He beat Donald Cerrone before the doctor stoppage in round 3. He pretty much could have beaten Vicente Luque as well. And Alex Oliveira has not looked good at all, especially in his last 2 losses against Randy Brown and Shavkat Rakhmonov as well. It's hard not to pick Price here. -170. You're getting a good line. Hit it before it gets -200. Hit it now, right now. Go to the books, bet it. He's definitely one of my best bets on the night as well. I'm all over Nico Price. I just think he goes out there, gets the W back. And like I said, they're doing him a favor. They want him to get on the right track because he is one of the more exciting fighters in the UFC. Alex Oliveira on the decline, lost his last 2 inside the distance, and he's getting up there in age. Nobody really wants to see Alex Oliveira anymore. I mean, I know he's only 33, which is 2 years older than me, but the man has fought 31 times.
Yeah,
and he looks way more aged than 33 years old. Let me add.
Yeah, he's a stud. He's a warrior, but this is time to ride off into the sunset. I think perhaps.
Absolutely.
Fight. And this would be 3 losses in a row. So it may be if that was a new contract prior to the Rachmaninoff fight, then that may be it. And I don't wish anyone loses their job, but I think this is the price is right for Nico Price. This is all about price on this fight. You get the winning fighter price, and the price is perfect.
You are right about that. All right, next up. In our co-main event, we have a fight between Kevin Holland and Kyle Daukaus. Right now, Kevin Holland's a -158 favorite, and the comeback on Kyle Daukaus is a +128 underdog. What do you got?
I've interviewed both guys, both very cool dudes. They're both very young. They're both 28.
Yeah, I think they're around 28 years old, both of them.
Yeah, they're both 28. They're both 6'3", fighting at obviously the same weight, 185. That's kind of unusual. You don't usually see that. Same exact age, same exact height, and they're going to be both weighing in within a pound of each other. So mirror images of each other physically. 12 fights for Daukaus, 28 fights for the Trailblazer Kevin Holland. Wow. Kevin has been in the UFC for 3 years, and he's got like 10 fights. He got like 5 fights last year. Anyway, he started out the UFC debut. They threw him against Thiago Santos. I mean, what the?
And went the distance. That's crazy.
And he did. Yup. He's a warrior. He did lose to Brendan Allen in Boston, a fight that I was in attendance for. And Brendan Allen is a very tough guy, as we know.
And he won round 1 of that fight too.
Right. And then went on a great streak. He had a great 2020. 2020 was crystal clear 2020 vision for my man, Kevin Holland. He's a great dude. I've interviewed him like 4 times on our show. Did lose via wrestling to 2 very talented guys, Derek Brunson and Marvin Vettori. He did spend some time at AKA. I think he's no longer there, but
he spent more time with Johnny Hendricks in Hendrickstown.
Nice.
As he likes to call it.
Yes,
he calls it Hendrickstown.
I like it. Over there in Oklahoma somewhere, I'm sure.
No, Texas.
Texas. Oh, that's right. Texas, yeah. And so he's got his wrestling on. This is an interesting fight because I don't think anyone's confusing Kyle Daukaus' wrestling with Derek Brunson's wrestling. Marvin
or even Vittori's wrestling, right?
Even Vittori's. Kyle Daukaus is a good guy. His brother Chris is killing him. Chris Daukaus now with that fight set up against Derek Lewis. But anyway, Chris will be staying. He stayed in town from his win last Saturday. He will be there cornering his brother. Really great guys. They're both police officers in Philly, I believe. Yep. And or at least Chris is. I think Kyle is as well. Anyway, man, Kyle came up against it with Phil Hawes. Philip Hawes is a really, really good fighter and a really good wrestler. He got out wrestled in that fight, and Hawes is for real, man. Before that, he beat Dustin Stoltzfus. His first fight was short notice against Brendan Allen, and he looked really good in that fight. This is going to be a scrap, man. Don't doubt that. But I think Kevin Holland is just going to be a little bit too much, because I think he will be able to handle the wrestling. His striking is better. It's going to be fun, though, because Holland's usually like 2 to 6 inches taller than his opponents. He's not going to be taller at all than Daukaus. But, yeah, I think Kevin Holland, I think the line is correct here. And, yeah, I think probably the time to get in, if you guys are looking to bet, the Trailblazer Kevin Holland is now. Late money, I'm almost going to guarantee you, is going to come in on Holland. So I think Holland, and I think Holland decision would be the only prop I'd be thinking of, although there could be some validity to Holland knockout. But Kyle Daukaus doesn't get stopped. I mean, but then again, he's only had 12 fights. And look at that, as an amateur, he also had a dozen fights, and he was subbed. Wow, in all of his losses, he was subbed, but never stopped with a KO. Although, you know what, the sub, Kevin knows his jiu-jitsu. So could be some value on the props. Like to hear what the price on the props are for Kevin Holland KO, Kevin Holland sub.
Kevin Holland. Okay, it's just Kevin Holland to get a knockouts plus 230, and Kevin Holland to win by submissions plus 1100.
Wow. I would sprinkle a little bit on the sub. I don't know if I want to be all over the place on this. Once in a while I am. So I might sprinkle like something like a quarter unit on the sub, a half unit on the TKO, KO, and then 2 units with confidence on the straight bet Holland.
Yeah, I'm surprised the line is as low as it is. I mean, I don't know why the odds makers are giving Daukaus as a plus 128, only a plus 120 underdog against a guy who's been fighting, extremely high level competition, before, Kevin Holland. I mean, Daukaus was only a minus 150 favorite against Dustin Stoltzfus.
Right, and now they're making him almost.
And now you're making him, you opened it at minus 110 as a pick'em.
Yeah.
That's absurd.
Yeah.
I understand, Vettori winning and Brunson winning the way they did and how Kevin Holland's been taken down numerous times, but Kyle Daukaus is not that type of wrestler.
Nope.
He is a good grappler. We've seen it in the Brendan Allen fight, and we've seen it in previous other fights. But I just don't see him keeping and controlling him on the mat. I just don't. He went 0 for 7 against takedowns against Phil Hawes. He went 2 for 7 against Stoltzfus. He went 3 for 5 against Brendan Allen. That's actually pretty decent. And then went 2 for 5 against Michael Lombardo, who's a straight up kickboxer. It's not like this guy is a D1 wrestler. He's not this high level Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt like Rodolfo Vieira or something like that. I'm not really worried about the grappling of Kyle Daukaus.
Yeah.
I know he's a good fighter. He's a cool dude as well. He's got good takedown defense, 85%, but his takedown offense is only 29%. And he's only averaging 1.75 takedowns per 15 minutes. We're getting a good line on Kevin Holland. They're overpricing the takedown defense of Kevin Holland as well. So give me Kevin Holland at minus 160. I mean, we're getting 2 great lines back to back. Nico Price minus 160.
Yes.
Kevin Holland minus 160. Those are great fucking prices.
I love the parlay there too.
Oh yeah, you put those two together, you're getting like close to plus 300 if I'm not mistaken.
Love that all day.
Let me see. Actually, that might be the nice, sweet little double. Let me see if I can find it. Let's just do one.
I like it a lot.
No, it's
Thank
not. It's
Kevin
minus
Holland,
plus
Nico
158. It's not bad. I'll take plus 158 on that. 100 to win 158. It's pretty good.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. And we're up to our main event of the evening. We're finally here. The main event, light heavyweights. Great scrap between Johnny Walker and Thiago Santos. What a battle. Right now, the line is set at minus 160 for Santos and a plus 135 underdog for Walker. Who do you got?
So you know what I got to do here? We are live, and it's time for the main event of the evening. Live with the fight analyst Garrett Kerman and MMA Power Hour host Colin Crandall. It's amazing. The crowd's going crazy. Can't wait to see what the two of us are going to say. Garrett Kerman, thank you, as usual, putting age before beauty and letting me go first with the analysis and the pick. Man, oh man, as Elvis used to say, can Hawaii get sticky on this one? This is a battle, and we are talking about the tall 6'5" Johnny Walker, crazy guy, Brazilian with the name of American whiskey. Gotta love a guy like that. And he definitely will put away his fair share of Brazilian barbecue, that I know. He is going up against a fellow Brazilian, Marreta, the Hammer, Thiago Santos, the younger man, 29 years old. And I think he's, 9 years younger, 8 years younger. A lot more miles on Marreta. Thiago Santos, a lot of surgery and injuries. Many people felt he beat John Jones, came back and had nothing for Glover Teixeira, who wrestled him. Came back against a big, tall, long wrestler and had his moments against Rakic, but couldn't answer the wrestling. In this fight, he's got a non-wrestler, but he's got a tall, young guy. This is a weird X Factor fight. Santos, they're making him the favorite because of experience. 30 fights against 23 fights, but the UFC fights, the high-level fights. Marreta has been in the UFC for 8 years, and it looks like he's got maybe 20 UFC fights. Johnny Walker has been in the UFC for 2 years? 3 years. And has 6 UFC fights. Looking at recent activity, Walker burst on the scene, surprising Khalil Roundtree and stopping him in the first, followed by a first-round spinning back fist over Justin Ledet, who I'm pretty sure is no longer in the organization, followed by a first-round flying knee against Misha Serkinov. He was killing it until Corey Anderson came in and knocked him out in the first round, and Corey Anderson is no longer in the promotion, although a tough guy over in Bellator. Nikita Krylov was a fight that I think I put 3 units on Johnny Walker, and he shit the bed. And I'm still hurting from that. I really didn't see that happening or that coming, but it did. In the Ryan Spann fight, Ryan Spann's recently since been exposed, and so it's not quite as impressive now that he came back and stopped Spann, although he's probably got a little bit of confidence back. This is such a weird fight. I mean, the taller, longer, fresher guy is Walker. The way more experienced guy is Marreta Santos. 3 losses in a row. I don't know where he is in his contract, but that's not a good look, especially at 37 years old. This fight is more important to Marreta, Thiago Santos. He could conceivably get cut with a loss here, whereas Johnny Walker's much younger, could afford the loss kind of, but would really take a lot of his steam away. Both of these guys are going to be fighting really, really hard. Someone's going to sleep here. Is there like they're probably asking 2.5 as the over-under, or is it 1.5?
Definitely 1.5.
Okay, I 1.5, I like I might even for shits and giggles try to hit a middle and play over 2.5, sorry, over 1.5, but under 2.5, which leaves 5 minutes, 2.5 minutes in the second round and 2.5 in the third, right?
Right.
I've hit middles like that before. They're hard to hit. I hit them more in football, but I'm going to think about that. Because I honestly have a feeling they're both going to be a little cautious in the first, but somewhere in the second, maybe late in the second, someone knocks the other one the fuck out. I don't know who. I was leaning toward Walker before. Now that I think about it and look at it, I just don't know that Walker is that good. But Maheta is so damaged and injured, his joints have to be feeling like he's 80, even though he's only 37. He needs the win, though. He's got to support his beautiful foxy Yana Kunitskaya, who very well may be out of a job, or even might be out of a job right now because of losing. I don't know.
She's pregnant, so.
Okay, so she's not worried. Well, then they really need money. He's going to fight hard, though, man. Damn, something about being a parent, as you know, makes people want to grit their teeth and buckle down. Probably Santos leaning toward, but I don't even know. This is just a weird fight. I don't think I want to touch this fight except for the over-under. Talking about the middle is kind of a somewhat silly bet unless you hit both of them. But the good thing is,
this fight should not go 3 rounds.
Right. So it's not as dumb, and I appreciate Garrett illustrating that you're only risking as long as the fight gets stopped somewhere. If you go over 2.5, over 1.5 and under 2.5, if the fight ends in a knockout, the worst you do, the worst that you would do would be to break even. Or if you hit the middle, you get them both. That's if the fight doesn't go the distance. So I actually probably will do that. But if I were pushed to which one I like more, I would say over 1.5 by a whisker.
By a whisker. Man, this is a tough fight. You have two guys. I mean, Johnny Walker is still coming. I think he came off surgery again, training out in Ireland, SBG. He's going to have John Kavanaugh in his corner. Michelle Pajeda is also going to be in his corner as well. You got Santos still down in Brazil getting that work in. He's not looked the same since that John Jones fight. He's looked a bit slower, a bit more sluggish. But he went against two guys that went in and grappled with him.
Yeah, which Walker's not going to be able to do, for sure.
Exactly. So that gives Santos a chance to just do what he does best, lay the leather, throw heavy leg kicks, and just blast through Johnny Walker. Johnny Walker has to maintain his distance. He's going to have to be unpredictable like he normally is, but while being calculated at the same time. He's very unorthodox, but he gets a little wild and he gets hit a lot. And, getting hit once by Thiago Santos would put your ass out.
Yeah, it can.
So while on the flip side, Santos has not been knocked out since 2018, and that was pretty much like a fluke by David Branch. And then before that, he hasn't been knocked out since Gegard Mousasi back in 2016. So this guy definitely has a good chin on him. He's not been knocked out, since those 2 times. I think he's got enough chin still on him. He's got enough, to go forward and land the leather, and get the win here. And I feel like he knocks out Johnny Walker, to be honest with you. I know a lot of people are taking Johnny Walker on the plus money, and I understand it because, Santos has pretty much 2 reconstructed knees. And, Walker is a fresher fighter. He's a longer fighter. He's a flasher fighter. He's probably, the fresher fighter, the faster fighter. But at the end of the day, I think Santos is a tougher fighter. He's fought the better competition. He's beaten the better competition. And I just feel like he's going to want it more. But we'll see what happens. It's not a fight that I'm going overly, invest myself in. It's a very closely contested main event. It's a very good main event. I'm very looking forward to it. But yeah, I'm going to keep my eyes a little bit closer on that. But yeah, I'm going to take Santos to win it. I feel like he gets a knockout as well. I think knockouts at plus 105. Not great, but you can take it. You can take the plus money because the chances of this fight going 25 minutes, very, very unlikely.
Yeah, extremely unlikely.
All right. So that concludes this week's breakdown, UFC Vegas 38. But before we go, my man, Mr. Colin Crandall, where can everybody find you on social media?
MMA Power Hour, but we're on hiatus until I think it's October 18th, I think it is, if that's a Tuesday. But I do want to make sure that we can both remind people that we're actually going to do the breakdown here next Tuesday instead of next Thursday. We're going to do it in the place that MMA Power Hour normally takes place. And so we will be doing that. Garrett can corroborate that just so you don't think I'm blowing smoke if you don't know me.
No, that is true. We will be live Tuesday night doing the breakdown.
Yes. Now that start time, I don't know if we ever talked about that, but if you don't mind, we start a little bit later at 9 p.m. Eastern because that's the normal start time for MMA Power Hour.
9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, just 30 minutes later than tonight. We'll get it in. We'll get some great insight for you guys and put money in your pockets as always.
Exactly. And MMA Power Hour normally on Fight TV and the Hannibal TV on YouTube. And hit me up on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I'm all over the place trying to make a presence and really appreciate your support. And the awesome Garrett Kerman. It's awesome to be one half of the breakdown now. So glad to be working with you, brother.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate you coming on as always, putting our two heads together. Two heads are better than one. Breaking down these fights, getting this money for all our viewers out there. Thank you guys so much for tuning in with us this evening. But we will be back same time, Tuesday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Fight TV, MMA Power Hour. So guys, check us out there. You guys know where to find me at Fight Analyst LLC on Twitter, The Fight Analyst LLC on Instagram, and The Fight Analysts on Facebook. But guys, also go like Playmaker KO on Facebook, Playmaker KO on TikTok, and go search Playmaker and follow them everywhere. I need you guys to blow them up. Help me, guys. Help me out. I'm trying to, create a huge space over at Playmaker for combat sports. I'm giving you guys breakdowns. I'm giving you guys fight analysis, best bets, all breaking news stuff, some interviews. We're doing it big over there. So please, guys, support and go over there, give it a like, and shout us out. But with that said, we will see you guys cashing out at the ticket window. Until next time, you guys have a great night. See you guys next week. Adios.
Peace.